Maverick News, the antivirus program for your mind. And now, the Freedom Reporters.
Welcome back to the Maverick News Channel. Hello, everyone. Viewers from all over the world and Maverick family, welcome, welcome, welcome. So much to share with you tonight. Dragons back at McGill University. In fact, he was out of the Dragon's lair overnight and was capturing some images that we're going to share with you this evening of vandalism on and around McGill University campus. He's back at the Pro Palestine Encampment at the university tonight. We'll tell you why right off the top of the broadcast. Also teed up for tonight, why Jagmeet Singh and Justin Trudeau are not attending the Calgary Stampede. Greta Thunberg arrested, sort of, again. And what else do we have for you? Oh yeah, Joe Biden, fading fast. He was hoping that interview with ABC would save his campaign, but it looks like the knives are still out for the president. His bid for re-election on the line. Stay with me. Dragons up right after this.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching. The world is watching. On TV,
the entire world is watching.
On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching. Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, let's bring Dragon in. He's on the scene at the university campus at McGill in Montreal. He's back there. Hello, sir. How are you this evening?
Doing great. How are you, Mavericks?
Yeah, you know, you look fairly awake, but you've been up since I don't even know if you got any sleep last night.
I did a bit. Actually, I woke up around 1 o'clock of the evening, so I mean, A little bit of
And
history.
and we'll explain why. It's because last night on Maverick News, Dragon was at the Pro Palestine Encampment at McGill University, and they told him that there was going to be a rally, a march at 8 p.m. And we went live to provide coverage of their march to help them get their message out. And yet, when we went live, where was the rally? Nowhere to be seen. It wasn't there. Tell us what happened after that, Dragon. It sounds like they were gaslighting you.
Yeah, they did actually, and as you can see, well, they came around 9:30 o'clock, so an hour after, well, an hour and a half after the timing that they were provide to me. So what happened is I was home, doing my little thing, doing few research, keeping myself aware of what was going on the medias. And around 10 o'clock, I had some update that some of the protester has been dispersed with flash and tear gas and some,
And some
well,
flashbangs.
yeah, some flashbang, and you got some, as you can see behind me, windows has been smashed. So vandalism has been commit, and yeah, this is what happened yesterday. So around 11, everyone was dispersed.
So they told you 8 p.m. Of course, nothing happened. You stuck around at least until the end of the broadcast, and then you went home. Then, with no cameras around to capture what they were doing, they went about their rally of sorts or march through the campus, through the streets. Where are you right now? Where is that located?
This is actually the library of the McGill campus. So as you can see, this window has been smashing. If I can show you.
Well, actually, you know what? I've got the photos that you took overnight showing this, so I can bring those up on the screen, and you can maintain your composure there with your. Well, okay, we can get live right now. Do you want to walk right up to that and get us a little closer
Sure. Well,
to it?
there's
Well, you
a.
can't.
Yeah,
Police
I
tape.
cannot go too much closer, but if I extend my arm, you can see on the floor there's a lot of glasses being on the floor. So yeah, and this is what the window looks now. It's there's one here completely smashed, the other one here has a hole in it. So yeah, it looked broken, and it wasn't like that when we actually, if you guys look into what I was providing to you yesterday night, it wasn't this way. I mean, I've passed through around. The window were completely, you know, untouched. So, and now you see those thing. So, I mean, yeah. And there's also, if you remember, on the 6th of June, we had this moment where the Pro Palestinian had took over one of the building, right? The building is right in front of me. Okay,
That's the administration
yeah,
building.
this is the James building. As you can probably remember here, the stairway where I was providing you the encounter was around there. So as you can see, there's boarded windows, and the window, the door window has been shut down also because of the.
They broke the glass.
They broke the
They
glasses.
smashed the windows in.
So this is what it's looked like today. So yeah.
Yeah. So these are some photos that I'll share with you here now. The Dragon took shortly after the rally last night, and
I took them around around 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. So yeah.
Yeah. So out there working double, triple time, and I'm not sure exactly what we're looking at there, but it looks like sort of this is like what their barricade or whatever to prevent people from getting in or out of something.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll go onto that area right now. This is actually where you got the Dawson building, right? Where there's the memorial for the Second World War that has been vandalized a moment ago. So if you can look right here. So this is those barricades. There's a actually they are doing some repairs, and for the building. So they are making some repair around, few construction.
I see. I think we might have lost Dragon there for a moment. So these are photos that he took last night while we wait for him to reestablish his internet connection. There, this was just moments after whoever smashed these windows had done that. This is the location where he was present. There's a closer shot of it. And tighter again on that particular window pane.
Oh, sorry, guys.
That's okay. And he's back now.
So these are the barricade for the construction, because there's some construction and repairs to be made on the building here. And this is the Dawson entrance in the McGill building.
Can you walk up closer to that graffiti so we can see what that is all about? There's graffiti on that building, isn't there? Is that what I'm seeing? It was hard to see when you were panning.
There's no graffiti around. No.
What's that on the? Just pan over to the building for me.
Like this?
Yeah. What is that? Okay, so that's like a fire hydrant. What was further to the right?
You got some trees.
Is that where the graffiti was sprayed and cleared off before?
Yeah. This was like 2 months ago, where they're. Well, you can probably see here. Some red here. So yeah, this is where it was.
So there was graffiti there, and then they did
about probably a month and a half, 2 months ago. Yeah.
Was it that long ago? Really? They've been there that long?
Yeah, almost 3 months. I mean, if you look at the date, it will be 3 months, around the 28th, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know there was even more graffiti down further that was cleaned off as well, but you can still see the stains from where it had to be cleaned.
See, the Second World War Memorial is where the wooden box is. If you can see that wooden box.
No, you got to pan down a little bit. We're getting the sky.
I don't know if you can see it. There you go. You just see it right there. It's that.
What, they put the memorial in a wooden box?
Yeah, to provide damage on the for the construction or a reparation to be made around.
So it was vandalized. So then they put a box around it while they get ready to fix it. Is that what's going on?
I think they will try to fix it. I'm not sure about that, to be quite honest, but they're going. They have provided some protection around it. So, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pass on the other side, right? And you're gonna see the other portion, if you will, of that construction site, and you'll be able to make out like how it's look around and the way it's
So why do you think why do you think they told you they were going to have their rally at 8 p.m. and then didn't do it?
Well, first idea would be that they were starting at some places around 8, but didn't provide me any information of where. My friend that was around told me that it was starting at the Square Victoria Park. But the thing is that from the time it took to get here, I mean, it took them a long time. So, I mean, it probably didn't start at 8. So
bottom line is they weren't giving you the right information.
No, they don't want to give us.
They don't like you.
No,
they don't like you for some reason.
So this is the wooden box right there, just here. So this is part of the construction site. There's the McBain building right there. So this is where it goes, and you go down there, and there's the encampment a little bit further away in that direction, where the Roderick gate is. Right there, just behind those two gentlemen and those ladies there, you can see those barricades, right? Those are also construction barricade. Those were down in the middle of the night.
They were down, but they knocked the. I'm sorry, I don't understand.
well, the photo that I've sent you of those barricade that was down, those actually are those that was down. Yeah, those.
Oh, I see. Construction barricades. Somebody knocked them down.
As you can see, this is actually the one that you just showed to the people. You see those, black rail there, the detour thing here with that barricade was down. So, and if you can probably see here, they have put some stuff around there just to make sure that, they prevent people to get that down again. So.
Right. I see. And then there's a barricade knocked down there. It's hard to see in the dark, but that's what they've done. The fencing around the construction zone.
Actually, I'm just heading toward that same barricade. It's the one, I think, right here.
Now, earlier today, there was some sort of a rally, and you sent some video over. I'm going to run a little bit of that now and maybe get you to explain what it is that we're looking at here.
And yesterday around, well.
Okay, so this is what you shot earlier. What was this, Dragon?
Actually, they were coming back from another rally this evening around 4 p.m. And I cannot tell you where they were starting the rally from, but they were coming back as usual every Saturday. They do that, all right? They do some kind of march around the city. Hard to tell where they start. You gotta be part of the guys if you wanna know those information firsthand. But yeah, they arrived around 4 o'clock at the Rodeo gate that you can see there, and as usual, it's pretty intense. A lot of chanting, a lot of people angry or happy to support the movement, and yeah, this is what it is. And they have said something along the way that they will be at some park. I didn't heard well, so I'm gonna try to review my video to make sure that I can hear that exactly where it will be. Around 2 o'clock, the 13th of July, they will be at some park and probably doing some disruption and making sure that they block people. That's what they say. So, yeah.
Yeah, and
I'll
Johnny's in the chat, chatting up a storm again tonight. Hello, John.
Good to see you, John.
Yeah.
I was showing their police officers that was on the street looking at what was going on, and there were also one or two squad ready if things were getting down south. So.
And so now also at this rally that you were witnessing earlier today, hang on here. Let me just pull this back. So I see cops were there and kind of keeping an eye on things. Or is that security? Was that security?
Yeah, this is the security here.
Okay.
But the police were outside of the campus looking
because
at.
They still don't have an injunction to have the protest dismantled at this point.
Yeah.
Now,
but this is the thing. There's always like a lot of police when they do the rallies and march. But as soon as the rally is done and they come back home, police go back home and all good.
Now,
so
here's the thing. You weren't there to see who committed these acts of vandalism, but you did speak to eyewitnesses, including security guards who did witness what happened. What did they tell you?
They told me that first they went from here, from that Rodeo gate. They went on this grass and smashed those the barricade for the construction site down on the way. And at the end, this is where they started to smash windows at the library and on the James building, and then this is where the cops did actually cut them off, if you will, and provided some authorities on them.
So you spoke to eyewitnesses who saw the protesters who were part of the rally committing these acts of violence. Is that correct?
Yep. They have seen them doing it. So, and you know, I mean, they were masked. They usually will wear black clothes, so you cannot see much. And yeah, they will be really organized, as I've been hearing from the reports. So.
Okay, now also what you indicated was at this rally just a little while ago, you heard them calling for a blockade of some kind. What was it that you said they were? What was said by the speakers at the rally earlier?
Thing is that I didn't heard well what they were saying, so I'm gonna have to look in loop and hear the thing. But
okay, we can play
I will
that.
make it.
I've got the clip queued up here. It's a little difficult to hear, but I'll play it.
East Montreal aligned with support for Palestine. Join the Palestinian Youth Movement this Saturday, July 13 at 2 p.m. at François Park and prepare to fill the streets of the Petit Maghreb. Bring your flags, your righteous anger, and your desire for justice. We won't blockade the neighborhood and make our voices heard for our brothers and sisters in Gaza.
So they want to blockade the neighborhood on 13.
Of solidarity without borders.
So we're sure going to follow that for you guys. Arabic chanting.
So we're hearing them chant and shout that they're saying they want to blockade the neighborhood next Saturday, the 13th at 2 p.m.
This is what it is, but I didn't make out what they were saying about the location. But for sure, I'm going to look it up real good to make sure that I can notice where it is, and I'll be there. So we'll see what's going to be happening.
Well, there we have it. Smashed windows. Now, as I said to you earlier in private conversation before the program, this incident overnight, the vandalism, I can't help but think about the night of broken glass, the Kristallnacht, the intimidation tactics used by the Nazis against the Jews back in November 9th and 10th of 1938. Am I off base here at all, Dragon, or what are your thoughts? I mean, it's just what comes to mind, just the imagery, the glass on the ground, the smashed windows.
No, it's a classic historical analogy, I think, and yeah, we can probably think that there's probably something to make out of it. It's gaslighting in a way, but at the same time, I mean, it's probably the truth. I mean, we see that on every campuses everywhere around the world. So I mean, and the chanting about revolution is very blatant. I mean, we did heard that on my video. So I mean, they are chanting for revolution and they want to change things, not in a peaceful way, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the Night of Broken Glass in Germany in 1938 was on a much larger scale, of course, because you had hundreds of synagogues, Jewish-owned businesses vandalized, windows smashed. It ultimately there were, I think, 100 or so Jewish people killed that night. 30,000. Well, it led to many Jewish people being rounded up and sent to concentration camps at the time. Now, what happened at McGill overnight, not on that scale, but it's just what came to mind. As you know, I just wonder if anyone at all has learned the lessons of the past, the lessons of history. When I'm seeing that smashed glass on the ground, it really concerns me greatly.
And I mean, there's a lot of thing that is going on around Montreal City. We don't hear much about that on mainstream media around the place. Probably more if you're a Montrealer, but sometimes we get some Jewish businesses and school being shut at or vandalized. So yeah, I mean, it's a thing that it's coming more like more often now.
It
So yeah,
is.
this
It's everywhere. I was watching. I just had some video platforms open, watching different videos, not on YouTube. I'm trying to watch more videos on other platforms rather than give my time to YouTube. But as I was watching videos over the past 24 hours, I'm seeing just so much bigotry and hatred. It's it's all being distributed across these platforms. It's I just never thought I would see the day. Never thought I'd be living through any of this. So it might not be we might not be witnessing a night of broken glass on the scale that was experienced in late 1930s Nazi Germany, but on an extended timeline, this is kind of what's happening in communities all across North America, Canada, the United States, even in other countries. It's just happening on an extended basis. Synagogues targeted, as you said, even here in Canada, we've seen schools targeted, schools shot at, Jewish
Yep.
schools shot at, communities blockaded, Jewish communities blockaded. We're seeing university campuses occupied, people being prevented, certain people from accessing the property. How, I have to ask you, when you're there, I notice you, really keeping your distance from the activities there. How are you feeling when you're around these protests? Do you feel intimidated at all, or do you feel unsafe in any way?
no.
We've lost your feed. We lost his internet feed again. Again, these are the images of the smashed windows. And this doesn't include the smashed windows that we saw at the administration building, where they actually took over the building at one point about, was that a week ago? Week and a half ago? There you are, you're back. So yeah, again, I'll
Sorry.
ask you. So we've seen journalists like Harrison Faulkner from True North, swarmed. We've seen Alexa from Rebel News. They've thrown paint on her. She's being assaulted. They've told you you're not allowed to venture on. Now that was at the University of Toronto, I believe. those incidents, but they've told you you're not allowed to, step foot on the grass at at McGill University in Montreal. So I'm just wondering, how are you feeling when you're out there?
Well, I feel kind of bullied in a way because, I'm trying just to be as nice as I can. I'm not trying to bully anyone or push anything around or, I'm not picking on anyone also. I mean, I'm, as a Canadian, can be polite, right? So I'm being around trying to ask questions, have a good conversation, and most of the people will just tell me to go away because they don't want to speak to me and they don't respect what we do put on online. So it's kind of sad because we are pro free speech, and they should probably allow themselves to speak louder.
Yeah, Johnny's trying to make excuses for the vandals. He's just trying to blame it all on Antifa, and I would say that Antifa is there. Um,
Well, look,
as we've seen, because along with others, right? They're part of
I will
this.
say it again, guys. I will say it again. I'm sure, okay, if I look around like this, okay, and you can see the campman there, you can see the people around here, okay, just in that portion right here between my fingers, okay, in that portion, I will tell you there's probably one or two person in that is probably a bad actor, and the rest are just good people like you and I that have just, you know, have an opinion on something and they want to be heard. This is all. Okay? So it's not all of these guys that is bad actors. You got probably two, three of them on that bunch, but that's it. You know, the rest will not do any vandalism or anything of such. So,
Well, the people who are encamped there, who are staying there, they are part of. I mean, these are. I've said it before. I know who these people are. It's this is like the protest du jour, right? This is the protest of the day, and these
flavor
are the
of the
same.
month.
Yeah, that's right. It's the flavor of the month. These are the perpetual protesters. These are the people on the far left, the far progressive left. These are the liberal fascists, the neo-Marxists. These are the left-wing extremists. It is Antifa, which is actually a bunch of fascists. It is, so Johnny's right in that regard, but you have to recognize that Antifa is part of the pro-Palestinian movement. That's what it is,
Well,
because the pro-Palestinian movement isn't just about Gaza. It's about a global liberal fascist neo-Marxist revolution. We are under attack, and this is the attack. That's what we witnessed last night with the smashed windows and the vandalism and the graffiti and the assault on the World War II memorial. I don't know how much more people need to see to understand that this is a classic Marxist revolution. These are all tactics used by Marxists throughout history in an attempt. What they're doing is they're attacking culture, attacking history, trying to tear all of that down and take that from society. They want all that gone so that they can tear it all down and then have a great reset.
it's like a portion of those guys that is, we'll say, encampment or probably involved in the whole thing, right? Some of them, okay, are like Rick say, okay, they are protesters expert, okay, they will just do that, okay, for a certain fee or whatever, okay, and most of them, I mean, what they are doing is that they know what word to use with those people like you and I to gaslight us or probably to bring us to a angry point where all what we want to do next day is to smash something. So this is what it is, guys. I mean, they are just using the right sentence to make you angry and get you up on board with what they're doing. So
I'll tell you something else, and this is what John doesn't understand. Okay. This is the other thing that is happening. This is a big setup. and this is me editorializing and prophesizing a little bit, but this is based on fact and empirical evidence, what I'm witnessing, and also what I've been told by people, sort of sources within certain circles. This is a setup, because what they're doing is you're being told, many of you, that you must become, and I've seen this exact quote, you must become the racists that they want you to be. I've seen that in social media posts. I've heard it online in like X spaces where we've got a lot of radical ideas being thrown around. They want you radicalized. They want you angry. They want you to come out against the Jews. They want this support for Palestine, but mostly they want you opposed to the Jews. They want you to be anti-Zionist. They want you bigoted, and they want you racist. The reason they want that is because they need someone in the end to blame for what they are doing. Do you understand? Because when the fascism comes from the left, it's harder to recognize because they disguise themselves as anti-fascists, when indeed they are the fascists. So when they're done doing their dirty deeds, when all of this is over and the dust has settled and the bodies have been counted, and I'm talking about maybe a year, 2 years, 5 years from now, you know what they're going to do? The people who have been, these people who are choreographing a repeat of history, they're setting all of you up. Anybody out there who's falling into the trap of becoming the racist that they want you to be, when it's all said and done, they're going to point at you because you're going to be the neo-Nazis that they hang all of the sins on. It's going to be you at the end of the day. And all the people protesting here right now, who are really the ones at the center of the sin, they will be exonerated, absolved, because they will virtue signal their way right out of this. They will have had their masks on the whole time. You won't know who it was that broke the glass. They're going to blame it on you because that's the classic maneuver, Saul Alinsky style. They're going to blame on you the very thing that they have done. So I'm warning you, just a friendly warning, don't fall into the trap. Don't do it, man. Don't do it. They're going to blame it on the white supremacist neo-Nazis and the colonialist white, ethno-nationalists, the Nazis. That's going to be you. They're already telling you that's who you are, and you ain't even there.
And I will say also, I've heard a lot of people say, well, don't you think it's probably just a guy that did that because, they want to throw someone under the bus, if you will. Well, yeah, okay, it could be a thing if somebody would have not tell me that they have seen it with their own eyes, that they are the one who did it. I mean, I don't want to put the fingers on someone, but if somebody says, well, look, this is the guy who did it, well, okay, look, if you're witnessing the guy doing the bad thing, you're caught on the act, right? But on the other hand, and anyway, the place is troughed with cameras and such. So, yeah. I mean, really easy to know who did what because they know, it's all caught on tape.
So, I would say the best thing to do is be a good person and don't be a bigot, and be nice to your neighbor, and do the right things, and don't fall into the trap of being baited into a fight and being baited into being a bigot, because in the end we will all be judged, if not by the law, then certainly by the Creator.
And if I can make another point also, about what you said a little bit, we always say, like, for example, Trudeau, Biden, whoever is on, on the helm of a country, they use the mirror thing, right? Like what they do, they will tell that it's the other guy who did it, right? But at the same time, like Rick just said it's the same way around, you know. They're gonna be the one who's doing it, and they're gonna throw someone else under the bus because that's the way they do. So, I mean, it's
Yeah.
a political thing. You always need someone to throw under the bus.
Not to say that people shouldn't stand up for their rights. Not to say that the time there is a time to fight, right? But there are smart ways to fight, and I'm not talking about physical. I'm not, you have to get smart about these things, and if we're going to resist, then resist in the right way. If you're going to affect change, then affect change in the right way, and that is to be smart, not emotional about it. So that's what I would encourage people to do in the face of smashed windows, vandalism, intimidation, and terrorism.
It goes along those lines for sure. And, I mean, it's sure that when I walk around here, I feel a little bit looked at or probably ostracized or bullied. I don't know how to put it. But, I mean, I'm not so scared, though, because I know nothing's going to happen. But at the same time, I mean, things can turn dangerous and turn south easy. So always be careful and be safe, boys and
Well,
girls.
yes, you especially, sir. You be very careful out there because I know that things can turn.
I'm okay. I know Kung Fu.
Well, we don't want it to go that far. So I don't blame you for keeping your distance. I think that's probably wise. We were there to observe and record, we're here to report the news, not make the news. So I appreciate your efforts here tonight and overnight and over the last 24 hours almost straight. Thank you, Dragon, very much. Anything else you want to add before we sign off with you tonight?
Well, you guys, if you like what I'm doing, you know where to go. It's the One Rising Dragon. And on the chanting of our little people around here, I will tell you, be positive, always look forward for the good news because there's always some good news around and the world is watching. Take care,
Thank you,
guys.
Dragon. And folks, we will be back right after this. Don't go away.
Maverick News. Fighting for freedom. Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay. A BC woman who was repatriated from a Syrian prison camp back in 2022 is facing terrorism offenses. This announced by police today. She was arrested. 51-year-old Squamish resident Kimberly Pullman, 51 years old. So these charges against her are leaving Canada to participate in the activity of a terrorist group and participation in the activity of sorry, I lost my spot here. Yeah, so she's charged with leaving Canada to participate in the activity of a terrorist group. These charges come from an ongoing investigation, which revolve around allegations the Pullman left Canada in 2015 and went to Syria to join ISIS. She has been the target of a terrorism peace bond since 2023 November. She'll be back in court Friday, August 2nd in Vancouver Provincial Court. Very interesting. Now also, just trying to get my bearings here. Greta Thunberg, sort of a world's highest profile climate change activist, arrested by Dutch police, sort of. Some are suggesting that maybe Greta's arrest is fake. And I'm beginning to wonder myself when I look at this video. Here she is, being held by police, marched off to the paddy wagon. But what happens here is they pause for what appears to be a photo op. Check this out. There it is. And, oh, you want some photo? Oh, sure, we'll just stand her right up there for you. Oh, look. Oh, and she's smiling, beaming for the cameras. Oh, yeah, okay, carry on now. A minute ago, she was dragging her feet. Yeah, see? One more time. Oh, yeah, stand her. Oh, everyone, take your snapshots. Is this an arrest or a media event? Oh, gee, for crying out loud. What the heck is that? What is that? Biden. I'll tell you, he's still in so much trouble. He did this interview on ABC with George Stephanopoulos. There were high hopes. People hoping that this would save his campaign. But things just haven't gone right for Biden on really any front at this point. His answers, the question, his response, just his whole performance again seems off. I'll tell you, it's just one disaster, one faux pas, one stepped on landmine after another. So he did sit down with George Stephanopoulos. This was his first post-disastrous debate interview, and he admitted in the interview that it was a bad episode, as he put it, but pushed back against questions about his age and mental fitness. It was a 22-minute interview during which Stephanopoulos kept pushing Biden, pressing him on not only the debate performance against Trump, but also on reports that his mental lapses have become increasingly common over the last number of months. And he was asked what he would be willing to do to reassure the American people. Let's cue up this. Let some of this roll. Hang on a second here. This is Biden with Stephanopoulos. And you can assess for yourself. I'd say that even here in this controlled environment, Biden comes up way short again. The interview, I don't think, did him any good. If anything, I think maybe it hurt him again when he can least afford it.
Last 3.5 years cost you physically, mentally, emotionally?
Well, I just think it cost me a really bad night, a bad run. But, you know, George, I'm optimistic about this country. I don't think we're a country of losers, that he points out. I don't think America's in tough shape. I think America's on the cusp of breaking through in so many incredible opportunities. This next term, I'm going to make sure we have straighten out the tax system. I'm going to make sure we're in a situation where we have health care for all people, where we're in a position where we have child care and elder care, free up, and all these things. The one thing I'm proudest of is, remember when my economic plan was put forward, a lot of the mainstream economists said it's not going to work. Well, guess what? We now have 16 Nobel laureates, 16 of them in economics, saying that Biden's next term would be, based on what he wants to do, enormous success. Trump's plan would cause a recession, would significantly increase inflation. I've made great progress, and that's what I plan on doing, and we can do this.
I understand that, and I'm not disputing that. What I'm asking you is about your personal situation. Do you dispute that there have been more lapses, especially in the last several months?
Can I run the 110 flat? No, but I'm still in good shape.
Are you more frail?
No.
I know you
spoke. Keep my schedule.
I know you spoke with your doctor after the debate. What did he say?
He said, he just looked at me and said, "You're exhausted." I said, "Look, I have medical doctors travel me everywhere, every president does, as you know. Medical doctors, some of the best in the world, travel me everywhere I go. I have an ongoing assessment of what I'm doing. They don't hesitate to tell me if they think there's something wrong."
I know you said you have an ongoing assessment. Have you had a full neurological and cognitive evaluation?
I get a full neurological test every day. They're with me. And I've had a full physical. I had, you know, I mean, I've been at Walter Reed for my physicals. I mean, yes, the answer is.
I know your doctor said he consulted with a neurologist. I guess I'm asking a slightly different question. Have you had the specific cognitive tests, and have you had a neurologist, a specialist, do an examination?
No, no one said I had to. No one said, they said I'm good.
Would you be willing to undergo an independent medical evaluation that included neurological and cognitive tests and release the results to the American people?
Look, I have a cognitive test every single day. Every day I have that test. Everything I do. You know, not only am I campaigning, but I'm running the world. And that's not how it sounds like hyperbole. But we are the essential nation in the world. Madeleine Albright was right. And every single day, for example, today, before I come out here, I'm on the phone with the Prime Minister of, anyway, I shouldn't get into detail, but with Netanyahu. I'm on the phone with the new Prime Minister of England. I'm working on what we're doing with regard to, in Europe, with regard to expansion of NATO and whether it's going to stick. I'm taking on Putin. I mean, every day, there's no day I go through, there are not those decisions I have to make every single day.
And you have been doing that, and the American people have been watching, yet their concerns about your age and your health are growing. So that's why I'm asking, to reassure them, would you be willing to have the independent medical evaluation?
Watch me there's a lot of time left in this campaign. It's over 125 days.
So
They'll
the answer,
make a decision.
The right answer right now is no, you don't want to do that right now.
No, I've already done it.
You talked a lot about your successes at the beginning of this interview, and I don't want to dispute that. I don't want to debate that. But as you know, elections are about the future, not the past. They're about tomorrow, not yesterday. And the question on so many people's minds right now is, can you serve effectively for the next 4 years?
George, I'm the guy that put NATO together, the future. No one thought I could expand it. I'm the guy that shut Putin down. No one thought could happen. I'm the guy that put together a South Pacific initiative with AUKUS. I'm the guy that got 50 nations, out, not only in Europe, outside of Europe as well, to help Ukraine. I'm the guy that got Japanese to expand their budget. So, I mean, and for example, when I decided we used to have 40% of the computer chip, and we invented the chip, that little chip for the computer chip. It's in everything from cell phone to weapons. And so we used to have 40%. We're down to virtually nothing. So I get in the plane against the advice of everybody, and I fly to South Korea.
He clearly doesn't even understand what a computer chip is. Like, seriously, when you listen to that, you can tell that he's using the word, but he doesn't really understand it.
Convince them to invest in the United States billions of dollars. Now we have tens of billions of dollars being invested in the United States, making us back in a position where we're going to own that industry again. We have.
My guess is he probably doesn't even send email.
I mean, I just
doesn't know how.
Anyway, I don't want to take too much credit. I have a great staff.
But I guess my point is, all that takes a toll. Do you have the mental and physical capacity to do it for another 4 years?
I believe so. I wouldn't be running if I didn't think I did. Look, I'm running again because I think I understand best what has to be done to take this nation to a completely new level. We're on our way. We're on our way. And look,
if this is what level, like a lower level, because it feels like a country in decline. It looks like a country in decline to me.
Decision recently made by the Supreme Court on immunity. You know, the next president of the United States, it's not just about whether he or she knows what they're doing. It's not about a conglomerate of people making decisions. It's about the character of the president. The character of the president is going to determine
it's about everything.
Whether or not this Constitution is employed the right way.
But what?
It's all of that. You have to be competent. That's a prerequisite. He's saying that competence isn't a prerequisite, that it's about just character, just being a good guy. Yeah, you still need to be lucid. You need to be able to execute your plans. You need to be able to do the job. You have to be able to get out of bed. You need to be able to, you need the stamina. And I'm saying maybe he doesn't. A lot of people are thinking he doesn't. In fact, Representative Angie Craig, Democrat out of Minnesota, has become the latest Democrat to call for Biden to step aside for the next generation of leadership. Here, I'll show you her post on social media. So even as Biden did this interview with George Stephanopoulos in his bid to end the bleeding, the knives are still out and being stuck in his back and in his front. And the attacks are coming from all directions, from within his own party now. It says here, Angie Craig, as an elected leader, I feel a responsibility to be honest about what I believe, even when it's hard to hear. President Biden is a good man, and I appreciate his lifetime of service, but I believe he should step aside for the next generation of leadership. The stakes are too high. It says, I have great respect for President Biden's decades of service to our nation and his steadfast commitment to making our country a better place. I have worked with the president and members of both parties to pass critical legislation like the bipartisan infrastructure law and the CHIPS and Science Act. And I was proud to have the president sign my bills into law, capping the cost of insulin at $35 a month for seniors, expanding mental health support for police officers for their families, and investing more resources to tackle the fentanyl crisis at the southern border. However, given what I saw and heard from the president during last week's debate in Atlanta, coupled with the lack of a forceful response from the president himself following that debate, I do not believe that the president can effectively campaign and win against Donald Trump. It goes on. You get the idea. She says here in conclusion on this post, if we truly believe that Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans must be stopped, there is only a small window left to make sure we have a candidate best equipped to make the case and win. The future of our country is bigger than any one of us. It's up to the president from here. And so in that interview with Stephanopoulos, Biden was asked if he was just hanging on out of his own self-interest. if he was being selfish, which is also what people have accused Donald Trump of being and doing. Let me see if I've got an appropriate clip to summarize that. Well, here he says, he tells Stephanopoulos that he can still attract a crowd, but even there he comes up short, and his answers are very staccatoed. Here he is.
What's your plan to turn the campaign around?
You saw it today. How many people do you draw crowds like I drew today? You find me any more enthusiastic than today? Huh?
I mean, I don't think you want to play the crowd game. Donald Trump can draw big crowds. There's no question about that.
He can draw a big crowd, but what's he say? Who's he have? I'm the guy supposedly in trouble.
What's your plan?
Yeah, you are in trouble. Deep trouble. Big trouble. It ain't working, pal. It's not working. Let's take a... Well, here, I'm going to show you this too. This is another thing. This is really hurting Biden. This is a short video going viral where he is going through a crowd at a rally, which he referred to in that interview with Stephanopoulos. And well, you just look, there's this young girl, black girl, who's excited about meeting the president. And then what happens? He skips over her and goes to this other woman who happens to be white. So, of course, the allegation here, by default, is that Biden is showing his racism. He can't win now. So here he goes. You're going to see this. Working over. Look at, she's so excited. Hi, Mr. President. And he's like, oh, and he just ignores her. And then the girl's like super disappointed. And he gives the woman right next to her a huge hug. And now she's like very slighted. And still no interaction. She's like, no, you didn't hug me. You didn't hug me. How come you didn't hug me? Mr. President, I want a hug. I wouldn't go near him. He might sniff you. Just saying. Yeah, he might sniff you. It's been known to happen. Okay, sit tight. I'll be right back.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, I'm back, and out to the Calgary Stampede we go for just a moment, where Pierre Poilievre, leader of the Conservative Party, makes this brief appearance where suddenly everyone becomes patriotic. This video released by Poilievre's team. Here, Polyev at the Calgary Stampede, and that is an event that both Jagmeet Singh and Justin Trudeau would normally attend. Trudeau was out there last year, but this year, everything suddenly is different. What's going on? Why are they avoiding it? Well, this decision to not go, I guess you have to speculate a little bit, you have to analyze a little bit, but some of it's pretty darn obvious. Justin Trudeau and the Liberals suffering a by-election defeat in the Greater Toronto area just about, a week ago? It gave us a snapshot of what is very likely to come, because it was a Liberal stronghold for over 3 decades. It flipped Conservative. Out in Alberta, the Liberals are not strong. So Trudeau avoiding the Calgary Stampede this year, where it was probably likely that if he had wandered into that crowd, given his level of, or lack of popularity, he would have needed a lot of police protection. He would have been heckled, because we've seen that repeatedly over the past year. It would have been a spectacle, a negative affair, to be sure. So he did not go to the Calgary Stampede, nor did Jagmeet Singh. Instead, he went to an event. Just want to make sure I get this exactly right. He went, let me just show you here. I've got him queued up. Got him queued up here. Here it is. He went to Mississauga, to the Mississauga Ram Mandir, to celebrate the 24th anniversary with the Hindu Canadian community. So he's shoring up his support in vote-rich Ontario, especially around the GTA. You perform well there during an election, and you can win the whole country. Everything sort of hinges on the concentration of parliamentary seats represented in those ridings. And that is basically why he went there today instead of out to Alberta. I think the Liberal strategists told Trudeau, don't waste your time out in Alberta. No votes for you there, pal. I'm going to predict that, well, I would say that if the election were to be held today, the Liberals would be skunked. Probably skunked in Alberta. Probably wouldn't get a single seat. It would probably be a split between the Conservatives and the NDP, because there is a socialist element out there, but largely Conservative, some NDP. I bet you the Liberals wouldn't win a single seat today. Things could change quickly, of course. Politics, very unpredictable. But here's Trudeau at that event in Mississauga, and you can see that the political winds are changing. The demographics are changing. And he's going where he knows his base of support is. And that right now is right there. Not out in Alberta, where the Liberals have really been at war with the energy industry, with the province of Alberta, in many respects. And that's why he's not popular. Speaking of socialism, Jagmeet Singh playing the victim card, the oppressed versus the oppressor card. Here's now he didn't go either. He also has been spending his time this weekend in friendlier areas. He said that he couldn't go because of a scheduling conflict with the Calgary Stampede, so couldn't attend the Stampede this year either. Again, I think it's now becoming pretty clear that the Conservatives are in for a huge landslide in the province of Alberta in the next federal election. But here's the focus of the NDP campaign, and it's all about the economy, the oppressed versus the oppressor, typical socialism. Tensions rise as hundreds evicted from Ottawa apartment building. And he says here, Liberal and Conservative governments have rewritten the rules to help the rich and powerful gouge you in the grocery aisle and at the gas pump. Now they're doing it with your rent. Let's crack down on rent gouging. So he's calling for rent controls. The problem with that, as I pointed out before, through, if you know anything about economics, rent controls don't really work. The reason being is it skews market forces, price signals, and this is the article from CTV that he is referring to as an example of what he's talking about. And yet this right here is actually the worst example that he probably could have cited. Because what's going on here is that there's this building in Ottawa, an apartment building, where residents received eviction notices. And that is because the building was sold. The new owner realized that the building was run down and it needed renovations. It needs renovations. 16-floor building. So they basically need to gut the place and fix it all up, because it hasn't really gone through any kind of renovation since it was built in the 1970s, early 1970s. It's all run down. It's in disrepair. So rather than have it fall into further disrepair, they're going to invest in the building and make major improvements. So the residents there have been paying something like $1,300 a month on average. So of course, when this is all done, anyone that moves back into the building will face a rent increase, because the new owners, obviously, will have had to invest a lot of money to basically strip it and refit it, remodel it, make all the plumbing and electrical repairs and all the other upgrades that are necessary to keep the building up to safety code and to make sure that it's respectable. So these residents have been looking for other places to live. It's going to take some time for this to get done. But that's the reality of the situation when buildings get old. This one built in 1973. It's half a century old. It needs fixing. So The city is in the process of exploring a new renovation bylaw that would make it harder to evict tenants in order to charge a higher rent. So the municipality is going to put together a report on this. And on this coming Thursday, the tenants, the residents there, will have their own special meeting. But this is a problem. You see, because if they pass a law that prohibits a building owner from increasing rents after making improvements to a property like that, then you know what happens. The buildings won't get repaired, and people will end up living in scuzzholes. That's the ultimate result. And if the owners of the buildings can't get any kind of return at all on their investment because of these restrictions that are placed on them by the government, then they will just liquidate the buildings. They won't build new ones. They won't fix the existing ones. Things will fall into a state of disrepair. And that will be the result of the government creating a bigger problem out of a problem. And the problem right now is that there is a shortage of housing. That's why you're seeing increased prices, because you're getting massive increases in demand for housing, and supply can't keep up. They can't build the stuff fast enough. It's simply about market forces, supply and demand, simple supply and demand. And the government, Jagmeet Singh, if he was prime minister, it doesn't matter. He can sign any piece of legislation he wants, any law, and put that into effect to control rent. But when you do that, there are always unintended, unplanned for consequences, and negative is what the end result would be. It would actually mean that the private sector would end up investing less, building less, fixing less. People would be further behind, because that would only exacerbate the housing shortage. We've seen that happen in the past, even in Ontario, where rent controls have been tried. Then, of course, the government comes along and says, we have the solution to the problem, a problem they created with their regulations. They say, well, we'll just have to have more government housing. And then the government begins to take more and more control of the housing market, the housing industry, and then they subsidize it with our tax dollars and tell us that we're getting it for free, when in fact we're not. The truth is, the way to deal with rising rents is to encourage more construction, create more supply so that it drives prices down. That's the solution, to make it a renter's market, where if you do get evicted, or maybe you just don't even like where you live, there's another place just down the road where you can go to live. If there was ample supply, people would have choice. That means you need more supply. The best way to create the supply is to reduce regulation and encourage investment from the private sector so that we as taxpayers don't have to pay for it. And then let the market forces come into play, and it will drive prices down through increased competition, not at taxpayers' expense, but through simple competition. And the most efficient of the landlords will survive, and those who can't survive because they can't compete, because they're not efficient enough, will either have to become efficient or find another way to make a living. It is really just that simple. Not as difficult as they might think, but socialists always think that the solution is government, when government is, in fact, usually the darn problem.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
And I'm back, and just going back to the Joe Biden stuff for a moment. This radio show host has just come out to say that she was sent interview questions to ask Biden ahead of an interview that she did with Biden earlier this week. This is pretty incredible, actually. Again, this is this is not looking good for Joe Biden at all, man. Another blow to the Biden campaign right here. Check this out.
You each you asked 4 questions, and maybe that's what you were allowed to ask by the campaign or the White House. But they were essentially the same questions, both interviews, about accomplishments, progress in your respective state, what's at stake in the election, what he has to say about his debate performance, and what he would say to voters who think their vote doesn't matter or might sit this election out. Were those questions given to you by the White House, or did you have, or the campaign, or did you have to submit questions ahead of this interview?
The questions were sent to me for approval. I approved them.
Okay, so the White House sent the questions to you ahead of the interview?
Yes.
Okay.
I got several questions, 8 of them, and the 4 that were chosen were the ones that I approved.
Okay. And the reason I ask is not a criticism of either of you. It's just that if the White House is trying now to prove the vim, vigor, acuity of the president, I don't know how they do that by sending questions first before the interview so that the president knows what's coming.
In all the years that I've worked as a journalist, all the years, I have never had a politician submit the questions to me that I was supposed to ask. And if that ever had happened, I would have said, well, I might ask those questions and I may add some others. And even during the interview, even if something like that were to transpire, I would still inject my own questions during the course of the interview while I had access to the candidate. Now, I have submitted a brief summary of what it is that I want to discuss with someone or ask. I might give some examples of some questions that might be asked during an interview, but I always make it clear that I'm just going to conduct an interview, and this is the general line of questioning, but it doesn't mean anything is off the table. And rarely during an interview do we stick to the exact guidelines that, or the framework that is established beforehand. Fair enough to say we're going to talk about this issue and that issue, and I'm going to ask you about maybe this, so that they can come in sort of prepared so they know where it's going. But it doesn't mean that anything is off the table. I could ask anything that I want. That has always been the case, always will be, and that's fair. If Biden isn't sharp enough to go into an interview without dictating what the questions are going to be beforehand, then we've got a serious problem. And we have a really, really, really serious problem if he's doing that and we're getting the kind of performances in these interviews that we have been witnessing. Really serious. Now, I guess China rattling its saber again. This is raising concerns tonight. The Philippine Coast Guard has indicated that China's largest Coast Guard vessel has anchored in Manila's exclusive economic zone in the South China Sea. It's being portrayed as an intimidation tactic, at least by the government in the Philippines. The China Coast Guard's 165-meter monster ship has entered Manila's 200 nautical mile EEZ. This happened back on the 2nd of this month. And not clear where this is going, but just rising tensions over there because of the Taiwan question. So there that ship sits. We're going to have to keep an eye on that one. That's potentially very inflammatory, but that's the report out of Manila tonight. Now, what else do we have for you this evening? A couple of things I just wanted to make sure we touched on. Oh, yes, this is a little closer to home. Very tragic story, updated for us here by police here in Ontario. Essex County OPP, Ontario Provincial Police, updating an investigation into the deaths of 4 people. This this dates back now. How many days ago was this? Was June 21st when this happened. Now, there were 4 people killed. It's being now revealed that this was, as expected, the result of domestic violence. 41-year-old Carly Walsh, 42-year-old Stephen Walsh, 13-year-old Madison Walsh, and 8-year-old Hunter Walsh were all found dead in a home in Harrow, Ontario, that is about 45 minutes from the Windsor-Detroit border in Essex County, Ontario. It has sent shockwaves through this part of Canada. People trying to make sense of this, and today, police updating the investigation, responding really, I think, largely with this because of community concerns and police trying to ease people's worry, saying that this is does not represent a threat to public safety. But more than that, also just raising awareness about domestic violence. Here's the statement from police. Here we go now.
Sandchuck with West Region OPP headquarters. I just want to provide. Hi everyone, it's Sergeant Ed Sandchuck with West Region OPP headquarters. I just want to provide you some updated information surrounding the ongoing death investigation in Harrow in Essex County. Before I get into the information, I just wanted to take this opportunity to extend our deepest condolences to all family members and friends that are devastated by this tragedy. Investigators have determined the cause of death for the 4 individuals in the death investigation in Harrow. Post-mortem examinations have determined the cause of death as gunshot wounds. 41-year-old Carly Standard Walsh, 13-year-old Madison Walsh, and 8-year-old Hunter Walsh. The cause of death for 42-year-old Stephen Walsh has been determined as a self-inflicted gunshot wound. There is no imminent threat to public safety, although the OPP reminds all members of the public to be aware of their personal safety at all times. Essex, Ontario Police Detachment members began the investigation on June 20th of this year after receiving a request to check on the well-being of a person at the home, which led to the discovery of the deceased individuals. The investigation by the Essex County OPP Crime Unit remains ongoing under the direction of the Criminal Investigation Branch, with assistance from OPP Forensic Identification Services and in conjunction with the Office of the Chief Coroner and the Ontario Forensic Pathology Service. The initial investigation has determined that this is a case of intimate partner violence. And intimate partner violence is a serious, prevalent problem in Ontario. The OPP encourages anyone who's experiencing intimate partner violence to contact police at your local Ontario Victim Services Branch and to develop a safety plan. And for anyone that may be aware of anyone suffering from intimate partner violence, have that courage to reach out to get them some help. Any person with information regarding this investigation should contact the OPP at 1-888-310-1122. Should you wish to remain anonymous, you can contact Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477. The OPP appreciates that there is significant interest and concern from the public But our responsibility is with the family and friends of the victims to conduct a thorough investigation, which takes time. We are asking for patience from members of the media and the community as officers continue to investigate this devastating tragedy. There will be further updates, but those updates will be provided when new information becomes available. Everybody, please make sure you take care, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
I'll be right back.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
The information war is raging. Truth without integrity is worth nothing. Maverick News. Because those who have power and those who seek it must be held accountable.
The world is watching.
Join our family of truth seekers. Donate today and add your voice to the chorus of Maverick Knights. Donate at maverickdonations.com. Truth. Integrity. It's the Maverick way. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, everybody, just a reminder that you can support the program, support the channel. We do need your help. You can support us at freedomreporters.com. And if you donate $30 or more, I'd be happy to send you a Maverick News t-shirt. Just let me know what size you need. $60 or more, I can send you a Maverick News shirt, long sleeve, button up with embroidered Maverick News logo on it. You can also donate alternatively at maverickdonations.com. That takes you to the Give, Send, Go page. Doesn't cost you anything to like, share, subscribe. Give us the thumbs up on YouTube. Would really appreciate that too. We need all the thumbs up we can get over there on YouTube and Rumble. And Rumble is where it's at. Need to grow over there, folks. That's the free speech platform where it's not likely we're going to be banned. So we'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe over there. Subscribe everywhere, but especially on Rumble if you're going to subscribe anywhere. And with that, I think I'm going to wrap it up for tonight. I appreciate you guys hanging out here tonight. Great to have everybody with us. And I will be back tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Love you guys. Catch you on the flip side.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.